Hey, it's Arrow. This is Frag, where you ask the questions and you question the answers. Now, before we hit the path and we go on our transition walk, I just wanted to kind of just go through some of the daily writing as to what inspired what we're going to be talking about. For about 2-3 years now, I've always tried to speak of a cleared heart and not a clean heart. I did not even think of this. This was a seed that was planted inside my heart when I began the journey with Julia Cameron with The Artist Way, when she inspired us to clean out our closets. And I thought, wow, that's an interesting way of putting your life back together and to understand your life. But the word clean was always a heavy word to me because a lot of people don't like cleaning. So as a creative mind, I began this journey of saying, I don't want you to clean out your heart. I want you to clear out your heart. And that's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Frag. Remember, it's asking the questions and then questioning the answers. It's getting to know the truer self that's inside of you and getting a grip as to who you are. Because how many times, seriously, look at yourself in the mirror. How many times have you only assumed as to who that person is? All right, we're going to hit the path here in a couple of minutes. I'll see you out there. All right, we're out on the trail. This beautiful forest in South Charlotte, North Carolina. It's been with me since 1992, but we didn't take it seriously until 1997 when we planted 1,700 trees. Man, what a challenge. I mean, I had many battles because a lot of people who lived within this connected forest didn't want to keep the trees. They wanted to mow them down. They wanted to have huge yards. They wanted beauty. They wanted those magazine cover yards. You know what I mean? Beautiful forest here in 2023. So when we take a transition walk, we are literally walking through this forest. And we do this because a transition means is that we're transitioning through our thoughts, through our habits. We're getting ourselves ready for what is going to be upstream. And so to transition means that it's not that I'm physically letting go, I'm clearing. Okay, that's our subject today on Frag. Clearing my heart versus cleaning out my heart. Because I am a daily writer and because I am a stream thinker and I question myself at all times and then I question the answers because that's part of the Frag process. Do I even know what the hell I'm even talking about? Now, I gotta tell you, I took one of my messages to a preacher friend at the Essential Job. God almighty. You know, you talk about moments where you go, sometimes you just need to keep what's given to you to yourself because, preacher people, no judgment, but preacher people will take what you think was a moment where you feel incredible and all of a sudden they're going to turn that monkey upside down and make you feel like total crap. They do. It happens all the time. And I don't know why I do that all the time where I feel like it's like, wow, man, the universe said something to me today and blah, 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 blah. Well, let me tell you what, it was not what you think it was. And you just go, oh my God, I've been deflated. So in a situation, how do I clear my heart out of that? I don't want to clean my heart, nor do I want to sit there and play up to the preachers and get somebody's, approval, because maybe one day I will receive a message that means something to somebody else. But I really did clear the situation. Let me give you the definition between the two. A cleared heart is arranging your heart, putting things in order. I've said this so many different times on Frag, and that is that I don't have multiple personalities. I've just got different files, like your computer. If it's going to be food, I'm going to put it in the foodie file. If it's going to be a rock star, it's going to go into unplugged and totally uncut. You know what I mean? So it's not that I have multiple personalities. And I think that's the same thing when I say I want to have a cleared heart. You put things in order so that you can better understand the journey that you're traveling on. Instead of being cluttered or cloudy, as I always call it, you've cleared things. You've got an open space. I look at it as being like this. How many households anywhere in the world are perfectly clean? There's cleared out spaces for the watching television. The kitchen is a little messy, but there's cleared out areas so you can get things done in the kitchen, even the washroom and the garage. But to physically go in there and clean it out, we talked about this a little bit ago. People don't like to clean. It means work. I mean a lot of work. I don't know about you, where you are anywhere in the world, but have you ever paid anybody to come and clean your house? 4 or 5 hours later, they're still working in an area where you thought, man, I take about 15, 20 minutes. And I call it clean. Not these cleaning people. They take it seriously. When they get in there to clean, they get in there to clean. So there is a difference between clearing your heart and cleaning your heart. Now, I hope I don't step on anybody's feet on this subject that I'm about ready to bring up. But I need to understand the process of the progress that has been unfolding for the past year. I mean, it's hard to believe this is happening on the 1-year anniversary of the Oscars. During a live show on Netflix last night, Chris Rock, 1 year after being slapped by Will Smith on global television, decided it was time to talk about how it affected him or infected him and why it was that he was able to steer clear of everything negative that happened about the situation. You have to go back and see it because I would love to hear your interpretation. Now, during this process or this performance, because I don't think that Chris was in performance mode, I think he was trying to explain to a lot of people of every nation, of every generation, that when something big and heavy and extremely negative takes place, you don't have to come out and start pointing fingers right away. You walk away. You clear the room. You don't clean it. You don't get rid of the situation, but you clear the mind. You clear the heart. And you get yourself prepared to receive a better understanding of a situation. Now, Chris Rock last night said something that I had never heard of, but God dang it if I haven't Googled it 1,000 times, and I'm still not finding any answers out on it. And I'll bet you that we're going to be growing into a brand new period because of the way that Chris Rock has presented this to not just this nation, but the entire world. He said that Will Smith has selective anger. Stop right there, because we've all been there before. And we all know what happens when we have taken our anger out in areas and situations that had absolutely nothing to do with the outburst. Now, I've studied anger for many years because I've gone to my psychotherapist, my psychologist, to study my own personal anger because of the situations in my own personal life. And the one thing that everybody has always told me about anger is that it's not a solution. It's only a symptom. Anger is a choice. It's an emotion. A lot of our emotions are made by choice. We decide that we're going to walk in this direction. So the question is that, and I talked about this on a recent episode of Frag, am I walking with a false heart? In other words, when people see my upbeat self, am I hiding hatred or a disliking of something? And Stephen Furtick of Elevation Church pretty much said something that really hit me in the heart. It was almost like the higher energy of the universe said, dude, we're going to take what you put in there and we're going to clear out. We're going to clear out the area that seemed to be heavy because you saw it as being a negative, when in fact, being positive in a negative situation is actually walking in faith. It's trusting faith. In other words, I don't have to wear the weight of the world in my conversations with the everyday people that I meet. In other words, if I'm having a bad day, I don't have to take it to them. Make the choice. Okay? So, selective anger. Let's get back to that. Through the interpretation that I received, it was one of those moments where something uncomfortable was taking place. Chris Rock had said something that didn't sit well with Will Smith at the Oscars. And in that moment, Will Smith selected his anger and took his anger out. But as Chris Rock explains in the special, he says this happened long before Chris Rock, because Chris Rock grew up respecting the rapper turned actor. He had all high hopes, supported him from the very beginning, only to have things come to this. So was he clearing out his heart when he shared this message last night, or was he cleaning out his heart? I don't think he was cleaning it. What I believe was that he was allowing the world to see that I took the time to listen, to experience, to listen even more, to put faith in the moment of walking forward and not take it out on people. I found it to be in the interpretation that he was growing with what took place. And that somewhere along the journey, what he went through a year ago at the Oscars is going to change a lot more lives than the moments that were infected that night. And to have the courage and the confidence to hold back was a great performance of clearing the heart. Sure, it happened. It's a mainstay in that man's soul. And he is going to never forget it, nor is the rest of the world. But are we going to, in our own personal lives and interpretations, are we going to allow enough room to clear ourselves of it? Ultimately, it's your choice to forgive Will Smith. Ultimately, it's your choice to understand how Chris Rock has handled this entire situation. He is a man of peace. It really, really looks like it and has always come across. Clearing the heart. Taking the experiences that we have in our own personal life and asking the questions. And then questioning the answers. If Chris Rock is a journal writer, a daily keeper of thought, it would be a blessed gift to be able to sit down and study his pattern. Because it was a moment that wasn't played out the way the rest of the world would have played it out. He took his time. He had a lot of anger, but he walked in faith. And he put faith ahead of all curves in the highway. And while clearing his heart, he was able to receive a message that he shared to millions of people globally last night. Don't stop. Keep walking. Don't react until you have received. Clear your heart. What's your living room look like? Is it cleared out just enough to sit down? Is there enough room so the neighbors can come over? What about your bathroom? How many dirty clothes are on the floor? If I ask you to clean it, it'll piss you off, won't it? What happens if I say, can you just go in there and just clear it out a little bit? I think you get it. I'm Arrow, and that's Frag.